All right, so we're diving into My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Ottessa Moshfegh.
Okay.
You, you provided the book itself, so we're going really deep with this one.
Yeah.
Ready to unpack all this.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this book, It
Yeah.
seems like everybody who reads it has a completely different takeaway.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
Just the premise alone, like, can you really sleep your way to enlightenment?
Right.
It's wild.
It's a very provocative question.
Yeah.
It definitely gets you thinking about things.
Mm-hmm.
And Moshfegh, she's not afraid to explore like the dark side of human nature.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
And she does it with this, like, really sharp wit, that keeps you hooked, even when the narrator is being,
Yes.
well, let's just say unlikable.
That's putting it mildly, but that's also part of what makes her so compelling.
Yeah, I know, it's true.
You kind of hate her, but you also love her.
Okay, so we meet this unnamed narrator.
Yeah.
She's young, she's beautiful, she's wealthy, living on the Upper East Side.
But miserable.
But totally miserable. Like, what's going on there?
I think she is a perfect example of how privilege does not equal happiness.
Mhm.
She's grappling with the recent deaths of both of her parents.
Yeah.
And it seems like that amplified a pre-existing sense of emptiness.
Right, yeah, she has all this stuff, all this external validation, but none of it is bringing her joy.
None of it.
So that's what brings her to this radical experiment, right?
Yeah.
Basically to hibernate for like a whole year.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh.
Sleep it away.
She wants to escape the pressure and the disappointment of the waking world
Yeah.
just by sleeping as much as humanly possible.
And she's not messing around. Like, she's not just like, oh, I'm going to take naps.
Oh, no.
She's got this, eccentric psychiatrist, Dr. Tuttle,
Yes.
who is like feeding her this cocktail of prescription meds to achieve this deep sleep.
Dr. Tuttle is such a great character. I mean,
My God. She doesn't bat an eye at the narrator's plan. She's like, okay, sure.
she's just like, here's more.
Yeah, she's enabling it.
The descriptions of Dr. Tuttle's office are so funny.
Yeah.
Like the stacks of old National Geographics.
It's amazing.
The fainting couch covered in cat fur. Like,
Yeah.
it's like Moshfegh is poking fun at this whole, like,
the whole self-help industry.
Yeah.
Like, you can just go to a doctor and they'll just prescribe you anything.
Totally. So is this hibernation a genuine attempt at healing, or is this like, is she self-destructing?
I think it's a very blurry line.
Yeah.
She seems to think that if she can numb herself enough, she'll emerge transformed.
Yeah.
But I don't know, there are hints that this extreme isolation could be dangerous.
Yeah, I think so too.
She may be burying her grief rather than actually confronting it.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
So that's where Riva comes in, the best friend.
Right, the well-meaning but often annoying best friend.
Oh, Riva. She's like this stark contrast.
Yeah.
She's trying to pull it out of isolation.
Yes, she's trying to get her to go to parties, urging her to go to the gym.
It's almost comical.
Yeah.
It's funny.
She represents a more conventional approach
Yeah.
to dealing with life's challenges.
Exactly.
Stay busy, get external validation.
Yeah. Which is so interesting when you contrast it with the narrator's, like, complete withdrawal.
Right, total opposite.
But I love their dynamic.
Me too. It's one of the best parts of the book.
Even though they're total opposites, you can see how much they need each other.
Exactly.
It really highlights that tension between withdrawal and connection.
We need both.
Yeah, for sure.
To some extent.
Okay, so then there's this whole art world element that gets woven into the story.
Yes.
The narrator ends up working at this Chelsea gallery
Right.
for this really scary woman named Natasha.
Yeah.
That's where, like, the satire really kicks in.
Totally.
The art world is all money and spectacle and
Pretension.
pretension. Natasha is obsessed with finding the next big thing, even if that thing is,
Taxidermy dogs with lasers shooting out of their eyes.
yeah, those dog pieces
Yes.
by Ping Shi.
Yeah.
They're so over the top.
They are.
But I think they also point to, like, that emptiness that the narrator's trying to escape from.
I agree. And Pingji himself is such an interesting character.
Yeah.
He represents that shallowness, but there's also this like a suggestion of genuine artistic vision there.
And it's so interesting because they first meet in this dark nightclub,
Yeah, yeah.
like one of the narrator's blackouts.
Right.
And speaking of the blackouts, like, those start to raise questions.
Yeah.
She's so heavily medicated that she has no memory of what she's doing.
Right.
Does she even have agency at this point?
It's unsettling.
Yeah.
Makes you think about like fine line between escape and just completely losing yourself.
As she goes deeper into these blackouts,
Yes.
she had these bizarre encounters.
Like on the subway, the bodega.
Ruva's mother's funeral.
Yeah, it all starts to blur together.
It really does. That blurring of reality is really key.
Yeah.
You start to wonder if anything is real.
Right. Is it all just a drug-induced delusion?
Yeah, and then this is where things take a turn.
Okay.
Dr. Tuttle prescribes this new drug called inframitterol.
Uh-oh, inframitterol.
Yeah.
The plot thickens.
The side effects are so intense, like prolonged blackouts, hallucinations, personality shifts. It's like
Moshfegh ups the ante.
she ups the ante. Yeah. What were your thoughts when this drug was introduced?
It felt like crossing a threshold, you know?
Yeah.
Like she's really putting her faith in this drug to like erase her pain and reshape her.
Totally.
But the risks are so huge.
You get the sense she's spiraling
Yeah.
further out of control.
She wakes up in strange situations, her apartment's rearranged, her hair's chopped off.
It's like she's a stranger to herself.
Right, and she's pushing everyone away.
Even Riva.
Even Riva, yeah, she's like, I can't deal with this anymore.
There's that really sad scene at Riva's mother's funeral.
Yeah.
She's surrounded by grieving people, but she can't even feel anything.
Right.
It's like the inframitterol has numbed her.
Completely.
Yeah.
Which raises those questions about, like, the nature of grief.
Mm-hmm.
Can you really just erase painful emotions
Yeah.
without actually confronting them?
And it's not just emotional, it's physical. Like she's deteriorating.
Yeah, losing weight, pale, exhausted.
It's like her body is mirroring her mind.
Yeah, the isolation and the drugs are taking their toll.
And then Pingxi reappears.
Oh, yeah.
Shows up at her apartment. He's seemingly concerned.
Right.
But like, are his motives real?
Hard to tell.
Or is he taking advantage?
It's unclear.
And this gets even more disturbing when she wakes up and he's like painted her
Oh my God, the sleeping nudes?
while she was unconscious.
It's a whole series.
It's like, oh my gosh.
It's disturbing.
That's like such a violation.
It is.
He's profiting from her unconscious state
Turning her vulnerability into art.
without her consent.
Makes you think about the ethics of art.
It really does.
Like, where's the line
yeah.
between expression and exploitation?
And then she has these feelings towards Pingxi.
Complicated feelings.
Like she's repulsed, but she's also drawn to him.
Right.
So her inframitterol supply is dwindling.
Oh.
She's running out of her escape route.
Yeah.
So she comes up with a plan that's even more radical.
Okay.
She's going to commit herself
Oh, wow.
to a mental institution.
She's really committed to this whole sleep is the solution.
I know, it's shocking. But it makes perfect sense in this, like, twisted way.
It does. It does.
If she can't sleep her way to enlightenment on her own, she's going to find a place where she can continue the experiment.
A controlled environment.
Yeah, it's a huge gamble.
Yeah.
But she's willing to do whatever it takes to escape.
Exactly.
And she enlists Pingxi to help her.
Oh.
Gives him a key to her apartment. Tells him to monitor her while she's in a drug-induced coma.
You know, I can't tell if she's being naive
I know, it's so unclear.
or if she just doesn't care anymore.
It really is. It's like a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
So she's embarking on this final stage of her hibernation, and we're left wondering, like, is she going to wake up transformed, or is she going to be more lost?
That's the big question.
That is the question.
Off she goes to the institution, leaving everything behind.
Yeah, her apartment, her life, everything.
Like really committing to this whole sleep thing.
She is, and this part of the book gets, like, so surreal.
Yeah,
It's like we enter this hazy dreamscape with her.
totally.
Does Moshfegh even give us details about what happens inside?
Not really. It's more about the feeling, you know, like the atmosphere. There are these glimpses of other patients and nurses and doctors, but it's all very fragmented.
So it's like more her internal experience than like the external world.
Exactly. And that internal world is becoming increasingly detached from reality.
Yeah.
Inframitterol is taking her deeper and deeper into this state of oblivion.
And meanwhile, Pingxi is back at her apartment, like holding the keys to her kingdom.
It's almost like a parallel narrative unfolding.
Yeah.
He's going through her things, reading her journals, looking at old photos.
Oh, that's creepy.
It's a little creepy, right?
Yeah.
He's like a ghost-like presence in her life.
Makes you wonder about his motives again.
Totally.
Is he just curious? Or
Yeah.
is there something like more at play?
Right.
So as the weeks go by, we get these like snippets of her dreams and her hallucinations.
Yeah, they're disturbing, filled with images of death and decay, like distorted memories.
Like her subconscious is trying to process all this grief.
Yeah, and trauma, but it's all like tangled up
Yeah.
with the effects of the drugs.
Makes you think, is this deep sleep actually therapeutic?
Right.
Or is it just like amplifying her anxieties.
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is she confronting her demons or just creating new ones?
And then there's this moment, she wakes up in the middle of the night and sees Ping Shi.
Standing over her.
But is it really him?
Right.
Or is it a hallucination?
Moshfegh leaves it ambiguous.
Yeah.
It could be real. It could be a figment of her, like, drug-addled mind. But
It's creepy either way.
it is.
It's so unsettling.
You don't know it's real anymore.
And it makes you question her sanity.
Yeah?
Is she losing her grip, or is something actually sinister happening?
Right.
And then, just when you think things can't get weirder,
Yeah.
Ping Shi does something that changes everything.
He shaves her head.
He shaves her head.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
He takes it upon himself to completely transform her appearance.
What?
Yeah, he claims it's for art.
Oh my gosh.
That it's part of his vision for her.
But it's such a violation.
It's
He's stripping away her identity.
yeah, her
And making her into this blank canvas
reducing her.
for his art.
It's a power move for sure.
It really is.
And it raises all these questions about consent,
Yeah.
exploitation.
And the boundaries between like artist and subject.
Exactly.
And it's symbolic too, right?
Yeah.
Like shaving her head represents this shedding of her old self.
Yeah.
But it's forced on her.
It's not her choice.
She's not making this choice.
It's a distorted version
Yeah.
of the transformation that she was seeking.
So instead of finding herself through this sleep experiment,
Yeah.
she's being molded into something else.
By Ping Shi.
Yeah.
Molded by him.
And then just when I thought, okay, I kind of know what's going on,
Yeah.
Moshfegh throws in another one.
Oh boy.
The narrator gets released.
From the institution.
Out of the blue.
After months of this hibernation.
Thrust back into the world.
But the world is a very different place.
It is a very different place.
September 12th, 2001.
Yeah.
The Twin Towers have fallen.
The city's in mourning.
The city is in mourning.
And she wakes up to this.
Yeah.
With a shaved head, no memories. Talk about a rude awakening.
And Ping Shi right there.
Yeah.
It's like she's an alien landing on a foreign planet.
Exactly. She's back.
But disconnected.
But she's totally disconnected. What's her reaction? Does she even grasp what's going on?
I mean, she's numb.
Okay.
It's like the inframitral has created this emotional buffer
Yeah.
that prevents her from feeling anything.
Wow.
Like she's not experiencing the collective grief and shock that everybody else is feeling.
So she's this like blank slate
Yeah.
walking through
Yeah.
one of the most significant events in history.
It's surreal
Yeah.
and heartbreaking.
It really underscores that idea that sometimes the most significant changes happen while we're sleeping, both literally and metaphorically.
The world can shift beneath our feet,
Yeah.
and we wake up strangers in a familiar landscape.
And this is where the book, I think, takes a sharp turn
Okay.
from this hazy, dreamlike state
Yeah.
to this grounded, almost hyper-realistic
Right.
portrayal of the city
After 9/11.
after 9/11. And her detachment from the tragedy
Yeah.
becomes this way for Moshfegh to explore how different people process trauma and grief.
Exactly.
So after months of isolation, she's surrounded by this collective grief.
yeah, this shared sense of loss.
But she's still an outsider.
Yeah, she can't access those emotions.
It's like she's watching a movie.
She's observing from a distance.
It's fascinating how Moshfegh uses this contrast
Yeah.
to highlight her struggle to
I
connect.
feel anything real.
And what about Ping Shi? What his role in this new reality?
This is where things get really interesting. He's still hovering, trying to insert himself,
Okay.
but she's starting to push back.
She's waking up to the fact that
Yeah.
he might not be who she thought he was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's starting to see him for who he really is, like
Yeah.
a manipulator,
Or an opportunist.
taking advantage of her vulnerability.
So we're heading into the final act of the novel.
Yeah.
She's back in the world, but she's changed.
Mm-hmm.
The world has changed.
The world has changed.
And Ping Shi is still there.
Lurking.
Feels like things are about to come to a head.
Definitely the tension is building.
Mhm.
We're left wondering what kind of reckoning awaits these characters.
Is she going to break free from Ping Shi?
Will she find a way to reconnect with the world,
With herself.
with herself?
Okay, so we left off with the narrator, back in her apartment, shaved head and all.
Yeah.
Trying to piece together what even happened at the institution.
Right. And Ping Shi's still there.
But their dynamic has shifted, right?
Definitely.
Like she's wary of him.
Yeah, she's starting to see through his whole act.
And she's, trying to process 9/11.
It's like she's experiencing this collective trauma, but on a delay.
Yeah.
The numbness is wearing off, and the grief is starting to, you know.
To seep in.
Yeah.
It's like this gradual awakening.
She's walking around the city. She observes the memorials,
Yeah.
listens to people's stories, and she starts to, like, feel this connection.
To something big.
Yeah, to something outside of herself.
It's like this shared grief is like cracking through that shell.
That shell of isolation that she built around herself.
Totally. And as she becomes more present in the world,
Yeah.
she also realizes, like, Ping Chi's manipulation.
No, exactly. She discovers he's been selling those paintings of her. The sleeping nudes.
I know. It's
So a lot of money.
I mean, that's like the ultimate betrayal. Like, he's totally profited from her.
Her vulnerability.
And it just fuels her anger.
It gives her this desire to break free.
To just take back control.
Yeah. And it's interesting because
Yeah.
that anger becomes a catalyst for change.
Yeah.
Like, it gives her the energy and the motivation.
To reclaim her life.
Exactly.
She confronts him. She throws him out.
And she starts taking steps to rebuild.
On her own terms.
She gets a job at a video store.
Oh, wow.
Which is such a, a far cry from that pretentious art world.
Totally.
But it's humbling.
Yeah.
And grounding.
It forces her to, be present.
Interact with people.
In the moment.
And gradually, like, she starts to find a sense of purpose.
There's that great scene where she helps a customer find a movie, and you can see how much she enjoys it.
Just that simple act of connection.
It's like she's rediscovering the joy in, like, the ordinary things.
It's a small victory, but it's significant.
What about Riva? Does their friendship recover?
They have this one final encounter.
Okay.
But it's more of a farewell.
Oh, it's bittersweet.
It is. You can see that they still care.
Yeah.
But their paths have diverged.
I mean, they've both grown.
They've both changed so much.
And there's that, like, realization that sometimes you have to let go.
Of the people who no longer fit.
So as the novel ends, she's still dealing with the loss of her parents.
Yeah, but she's not running from it anymore.
She visits their graves.
Looks at old photos.
She lets herself feel the sadness.
The anger.
Yeah.
The complexity of grief.
It's like a sign of her growth.
Yeah.
Her acceptance.
Accepting what she can't change.
And I mean, the ending is so ambiguous.
It is. We don't know for sure if she's, like, achieved enlightenment.
Or if she's just found a way to cope.
Yeah.
With, life.
With the messiness of it all.
We see her at the end.
Going to a movie alone.
Yeah.
Sitting in the darkness.
Watching the images.
It's quiet, but it's hopeful.
It's hopeful.
It suggests that she's, like, found a way to be comfortable with herself.
Yeah, with her solitude.
With the uncertainty of the future.
After this wild ride of a book.
Yeah.
What do you think is the lasting message?
I think it's a reminder that there are no easy answers.
Yeah.
No quick fixes. For the complexities of life.
It's about the journey.
The struggle.
The messiness.
Figuring things out.
And finding beauty.
In the unexpected places.
Even in the darkness.
Even in the darkness.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It is.
I think it resonates with so many people.
Yeah, we've all had our own hibernation period.
Our own ways of coping?
The question is, are those strategies helping us grow?
Or are they holding us back?
Right.
That's the question.
Food for thought.
That's what we love about the deep dive.
We explore these big questions.
These complex themes.
And we come away
with a deeper understanding.
Of ourselves and the world around us.
Thanks for joining us on this journey into my year of rest and relaxation.
It was a wild one.
We hope you enjoyed it.
And that it sparked some interesting thoughts.
And conversations.
Yeah.
Until next time, keep those pages turning and those minds exploring.